So today I'm going to start out with a good old-fashioned recipe. It's pretty fail-proof. You can obviously do this with a KitchenAid mixer, but I'm keeping it simple and kind of basic, understanding that not everyone will have access to the KitchenAid and kind of the things that make things a bit easier. So in this I have 2 cups of flour, half tablespoon of sugar, half tablespoon of salt. In here, my liquids, I have a half cup of milk and a half cup of warm water. I use 2%, but you can obviously use full fat or whatever your preference is. And in this you can't really see, but it's a half a stick of butter, so it's about 4 tablespoons of butter. So let's get to mixing. So starting out, I will add in the liquid. So this is a pretty simple recipe. I mean, there's no yeast, there's nothing else you really add. It's pretty, you use your hand a lot. I used whole wheat flour, actually. I forgot to mention that. So this dough will be a bit more brown, and you just kind of mix it together, and it's going to eventually become sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my butter as well at this point. The butter should be soft, so it's easy to mix in. And you just kind of mix it as I'm doing, like so, and it lasts a bit of time, to get it to the consistency you want it, but you want the dough soft. You don't want the dough to be dry. I think a lot of people have a tendency of adding more flour than you need to in a lot of these doughs, and the beauty of flour is really it just needs time to rest, because once the dough rests, it absorbs the flour, it absorbs the water. That's why a lot of recipes will ask you to let your dough rest for half an hour, for an hour, and sometimes with the yeast-based doughs it's overnight. So I think the consistency is almost there for this batter. I'm going to move it out of the bowl so I can continue kneading it just a little bit longer and incorporate the remaining flour. But you can see my dough is already kind of coming together. And again, whole wheat is more high in protein, so when you're thinking of it from that perspective, it'll probably absorb a bit better. And when we're finished with this, we're going to go ahead and let our dough rest for 30 minutes to give it a chance to absorb everything. But I'm obviously kneading with one hand. I've been doing this for a while, so it's a bit easier for me to manage. Plus I'm trying to keep one hand simple and easy to deal with everything else, such as this camera that I'm using. But you can see here we've got a nice dough. It's pretty much set and ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back and into this here. I'm not gonna use a separate bowl. I'm gonna just put it back in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of canola oil on top, and that keeps it from drying out while it's being used, just a little bit, probably just a sprinkle, just to cover the top. And then I cover with a lovely cloth that I have on the side, and we let it rest for half an hour. We'll be back.